Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome back for another EVE Online discussion video. Today's video is a bit of an extra video, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the mass tests in EVE Online, since we just had one with actually a pretty low population. Now the test itself, you may have seen it on the video from yesterday, is pretty intense, testing out the new super capital feature with recloning and getting into ships within super carriers and things like that. I thought it was actually not such a bad idea to not have that many people on this mass test for the server themselves, and if something drastic would go wrong, the impact would not be too big, but all went actually pretty damn smoothly, and so I guess we could have used more people. So I want to make this video perhaps to talk to some of the newer players out there that are interested in joining mass tests, that are interested in helping testing EVE Online, but perhaps they think, well, I'm too new, I can't be useful there, or it's just going to be too complex for me. And I kind of want to show you guys that that is not really the case. Actually, CCP makes it very easy to take part in these mass tests. So first of all, I think what's really important, of course, is that you have to know that a mass test is happening. And how do you know that? Well, first of all, you have several places where CCP does mention that they are holding another mass test. Usually a week is max, from my experience, that they let you know beforehand, so you do have to be on the ball a little bit. But there's definitely like their social media, Twitter account, and Facebook, I think. I'm not really sure, I don't check that one myself, but there's plenty of other official sources, like of course in the background right now you're seeing the EVE Online website, so you can always go to articles, and for instance here, mass test on Singularity on the 27th of October, announced by CCP Dopamine. So there's usually a news article that one is happening as well. Another one, of course, is the EVE Online forums. You gotta browse down a little bit, but find test server feedback, and here you actually always have a post that already also explains what the steps are, what's going to be tested, and quite often you actually see players that quickly jump on the server before that to already take a look at exactly what they should expect for that mass test. And you know, I think CCP is, especially CCP Habakkuk, is pretty damn receptive to feedback, and does try to make these tests go as smoothly as possible, regardless of how veteran a player you are. So even new players are definitely welcome here as well. And then of course there's also the launcher. Now right now I think it's not here anymore, but quite often CCP also puts up like a little news part on the launcher itself that a mass test will be happening shortly. And then finally, if you don't want to go outside of the game, there's actually a way for you to keep track of that as well. I'm actually on the test server at the moment right here, and in your mail system, what you can do is you can join the mailing lists, and one of them is called mass testing info. And here CCP Habakkuk, it doesn't do it always for every single mass test, but on most of them he actually quickly launches a mail to let you know, hey, there's a mass test happening, mostly like tomorrow, today, come if you can. So if you want that notification in game, definitely join the mass testing info mailing list. You just have to click add mailing list down here, then press mass testing info, click join, and you'll also receive these in-game mails, these notifications that a mass test is happening. Next up, you may be wondering, let's go back to the launcher for that. Is this like a full new download or anything like that? Well, no, it's actually pretty easy. You just have to select, instead of Tranquility, which at the moment has 29,771 players on it, you just choose the test server Singularity, or whichever test server is actually announced on the forums, or perhaps in the mail, or wherever you find out that the mass test is going to be happening. Sometimes they use other servers like Duality for some other features and things like that. But you know, 99% of the tests I've been to have been on Singularity. So all you really have to do is click on that. Sometimes you may need to do an update to get everything that Singularity has, but I've never had any like major downloads or big time frames needed to get ready for a mass test. I usually just come online about half an hour, 15 minutes before the test starts, click Singularity, you log in as you always do, and then you head into the test server. Now these are mirrored from time to time, but you also have some nice special dev commands that you can use in order to get where you need to go. You can see here I'm in the system of FDMLG, which is usually the starting system, because the station that I'm in, the Intaki Bank Depository, actually is seeded with an enormous amount of stuff, almost everything in the game. And I should not do that. I should press View Market Details, and all of that is available for 100 disk in this station. So you can very easily grab a couple of extra ships, feed them up, and join these mass tests. All ship types are always or almost always welcome in every mass test, and even smaller frigates, drone ships, smart bomb ships, everything has its importance to test out the current build on the test server, to try and get as much done as possible, try and give as much trouble to the server as well. Performance is of course something that we always keep a close eye on as well. And I personally really enjoy these mass tests. They usually take up to an hour maximum, I would say. You get to test out new stuff that's coming to the game before anyone else. You'll also very quickly get a vibe of, all right, this looks like a pretty stable build. We can go nuts, we can try whatever we want. Or here, it's a little bit iffy. Yeah, sometimes you do crash. I have to be honest on that as well. This is a test server for a reason, but I find it pretty fun to do. And definitely worthwhile to try and help CCP get the best builds out. From time to time you discover a bug, just, you know, there's plenty of places that CCP will tell you how to let them know that, which by the way, I should perhaps mention as well. If you plan to join one of these mass tests, there are a couple of chat channels that you'll want to join. So let me try and get those a little bit in the middle. So you'll definitely want to join the mass testing chat channel. This will usually have a message of the day as well that'll explain all the steps you can expect for the mass test, and then one of the CCP guys will usually just, you know, tell you warp there, do this, do that. Every single step is completely guided by someone from CCP. You also have then a mass questions channel that I would recommend you join. If you run into trouble during the mass test, you can definitely mention that here from time to time. If it's something that a dev can quickly fix, perhaps, you know, give you a skill book, give you a ship, something like that can happen here, and just general feedback is found here. And then you've got another channel, Fleet W or Fleet X, if you want to. Usually we organize in 2 fleets for one of these mass tests, and this is where you ask for the invites when it comes to joining these mass tests. But yeah, this channel is the most important one, mass testing. Everything is explained there, all the steps are being announced there by the CCP dev that leads the mass test, and it's a must to join if you plan to join one of these tests yourself. And is that everything? So you get next to free stuff, right? 100 disk, by the way, of course, for people that are pretty economically savvy, you know that you can buy some ships, reprocess them, get a ton of minerals out of that, and potentially create infinite amounts of ISK on this. So getting your stuff is really easy on the test server. And these mass tests, as I've said, for me, they're actually pretty fun looking at these new features. Most of the time they're quite okay, but sometimes, you know, CCP does create some crashing problems and things like that as well. So do expect your rig to have to work pretty hard during these mass tests, and sometimes get stressed to its limit. You gotta be willing to do that. But as I've said, no extra download. It's really easy to get into these, and you have, I still have to show that to you guys as well, of course. Because you won't start in the system right away, but you can always just use the /move_me command, and that'll give you a list of systems where you can go to. And of course, the starting system, which is called FDMLG, can always be will always be in that list as well. You just click on that, and from wherever you are, you will then be transported like this into a random place into the system. And then, of course, what I always do, if you're not sure where to go, just go to the market window, find something, and there we go. Anything that's for sale on 100 disk, you dock there in FD, and you will be in the station that has everything seeded for 100 disk. You can start building your ships, preparing for the mass test, and then join it following all the instructions that CCP does. the test server itself, if you want to do other stuff there, I personally don't really do that, because I do sometimes experience troubles when I start to go through gates, try to dock into station. I think it sometimes needs to load a lot of stuff up. But for me, these mass tests, of course, there's devs there, there's ISD there, everyone is ready, and the server is basically prepped for all of the steps and all of the systems that will be involved. So I personally would recommend that if you have the time, and of course if it's in the right time slot for you, try to join these mass tests. It's definitely pretty helpful. And if you want to learn more stuff about the game itself, after every mass test, the participants receive 2 million skill points. Let's see if I can show that here. Yeah, 2 million extra skill points only on CC, so that's only on the test server. But you can see here, for instance, I have 15 million unallocated skill points. So if CCP would announce a mass test where it comes to try to fly a Titan, well, I could very easily buy those skill books for under disk and then start injecting all of that SP, and I could make this a Titan pilot thanks to joining just a couple of mass tests. And so if you have dreamed about someday perhaps flying a super, flying a carrier, things like that, and you already want to get spoiled on that experience, the test server and these mass tests are definitely a nice place to try and get that done as well. So there you go, guys. That was basically what I wanted to share with you guys. I'm kind of hoping that some of you have thought about it, but kind of were hesitating on joining these mass tests, or weren't sure how to do that. Hopefully that can help, and hopefully I'll see you guys in one of the next ones. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.